By the end of the meeting, he said, you can do it in 6 days. I'll tell you a fun one, which is just last Christmas, not too long ago. He was at Twitter headquarters, and he looks at all the engineering things, and they have 3 server farms, one in Portland, one in Sacramento, and one, I think, in Atlanta. And he does the calculus in his head, and he said, we don't really need 3 different redundant server farms. And the engineers say, well, yes, we do, because we need backups and we need caching or whatever. And he says, no, you're not going back to first principles thinking. If you look at this, anyway, he decides they should get rid of the servers in Sacramento. Well, they say, fine, but that'll take 6 months and he said, no, you can do it in 6 weeks. And the engineer, and I'm sitting there in the meeting, and he's getting really dark, and they don't know how to deal with him because this is like a month after he took over Twitter, so they don't know this dude. And they're saying, well, no, I'm sorry, Elon, we can't do it. And he'd say, you can do it in 6 weeks. And by the end of the meeting, he said, you can do it in 6 days. He gets really dark. And he decides he's going to fire them. But it's December 23rd. So it's like 2 days before Christmas. He does fire them. But the next day, Christmas Eve, he's flying from San Francisco to Austin, Texas to go home for Christmas. He's with 2 young cousins on the plane who are engineers. And one of them says, why don't we just take those servers out ourselves? Elon Musk makes a U-turn in his airplane, tells the pilot to go to Sacramento. They were already over Nevada. They land. He rents, there are like 4 of them on the plane. They rent a truck, a sort of what we call a U-Haul truck, a rental truck. And they go to the server facility, and the guard there is like flummoxed. It's Christmas Eve, and they're forcing their way in, and they're looking at the servers, and one of the engineers says, well, we can't take them out because we need engineers to take off these elevated floors, those floor tiles where people say. And Musk turns to his bodyguard and says, do you got a pocket knife? The guy goes, yeah. And he takes a pocket knife and pulls up one of the vents, rips up the floor thing, goes underneath the floor panel with a set of wire cutters that he got from Home Depot, and cuts the cable to the servers. And they start moving them out and put them in the U-Haul truck. And this is Musk and by the way, it's typical of Musk because it works fine for a few days. Then you can see the service getting a bit degraded, but then eventually it comes back. And he says, you got to take risks. If you're not sort of causing 20% of the problems from the risks you take, you're not taking enough risks. But there it is, and they got rid of that server farm in Sacramento.